Hey, George.
Hey, sorry, I lost you there.
Yeah, no worries. I just shot you an email saying, "Hey, can you approve the $100?" And I gave you an explanation video to give to Charles so he's in the loop, right?
Okay,
And and
perfect.
and also I said, can we keep Karen on the loop on this because she's starting to, she's really good to work with and she's starting to, we educated her on, how to use the video and everything. So we want her to understand everything if it's possible.
Yep,
Yeah. And
absolutely.
I take it you like her and you're going to keep her for a while, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay.
She's been with us a little while, and I don't see her going anywhere soon.
Uh,
She handles what she needs to do. So
yeah. Yeah. No, it's good. So we're getting her up to speed that every time she talks to a DMC, she's got to be, including that video in there, and we'll get that new shoot done and stuff like that. And I think that what we need, this is what we need, is we need to get testimonials from DMC customers. So therefore they go, oh yeah, I went on the Thriller. My group had the best time. I'm sure glad my group picked this to give the DMC.
great. And you know what? I think we have some that we can use because I mean we've had a lot of groups write us and say what a good time they had. So
Well,
I think we probably have some somewhere.
yeah. Well, I was thinking of shooting it in video. So the next time you get a DMC,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah, exactly. That'd be
yeah.
great.
But in the
Hey,
meantime,
listen, the other thing. Oh, go ahead.
okay, in the meantime, if you do have those letters, I can have a page flip up on the screen that says, "Mo, dear John Jones." You know what I mean? Like, obviously, we don't
Yep,
have
yep.
videos today, and those things flipping up is almost as good. So if you can email me, just even get Karen to type in
Yep.
some
I'll find out
phrases.
whatever we have. But I
Yeah.
know I've read some, so we must have some somewhere.
Yeah, because let's face it, you get one booking from a DMC, and that's where the real money is, right?
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, it's just yeah, our DMC, our private groups like that are increasing so much we can freaking hardly do them all. So you can't
Well,
complain about those guys.
so
That's why that's
let's
why we have this third boat. You
yeah.
know, we had that little third smaller boat, but we actually need another boat probably.
Well, here's what we
So
should do then if we want to get our ducks in a row with someone, and maybe it's not Karen because she's too busy, or I can have someone on my side, is compile all the email addresses from all the DMCs in Miami and wherever they are, right? And
yeah,
you put them in a list server, and once a month we send them some fresh video automatically, so no one's even working, and we keep reminding them of Thriller.
yep. I tell you what, if you guys could put together any kind of list, I'd be glad to pay you for it because they're not really her thing. So if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
guys
yeah,
can,
yeah.
if you have a list or can put a list together, that'd be awesome.
Okay, I'm going to talk to Julio, the guy, the concierge dude, and
Yep.
he might even have a list or whatever. So let me see if we can source an existing list so we don't have to rebuild.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
yeah,
that'd be
yeah.
awesome.
Cool. Okay, well that's good then. So we're all good on that, and I do have, believe it or not, something new I wanted to talk to you about, but I'm going to wait a week and get all this flushed through. Just basically, I'll tell you, you can think about when you're driving around. So we're going to give you the code, and when people click on that play video button, in about 2 weeks, I'm going to have this update. And I think I told you before, when you click on it, if the guy's on a mobile phone and the hours of operation, it's going to say, hey, click here to call instantly. And 70% of people that do a search on a mobile phone end up making a phone call. So,
That's right.
so,
I
so
know when I do, I'm looking for whatever I'm looking for, and that's the first thing I'm looking for is the number. So
yeah, exactly. And so this it says, hey, it's popular on TripAdvisor. You got to book this in advance. So book online or click the call button to be instantly connected, and boom, the phone. Now, who's answering your phone now? Do you have whatever peak or reserve, or are you answering your own phone?
Man, we've gotten away from Peak, and we're using Fair Harbor now. And Josh kind of Charles is end of it, but I was going to ask you about. Are you familiar with Fair Harbor at all?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
booking site or
yeah,
whatever?
yeah.
I
Actually, yeah,
Well,
I am.
this was another issue, and I think you and I have talked about this in the past. I mean, in my opinion, my website is horrible,
Yep.
and I was looking real soon to have it redone, and the guy that did it the first time, he knows I'm not happy with it. He wants to do it again for a minimal fee or whatever. But Fair Harbor has offered us, and they've sent me samples from two or three different people that they used, and one of them really good. And they're offering to build me a brand new website for free because they believe it'll help their end. The more bookings I do on that site, the more money they make as well. So
Oh,
And I was wondering what your thought was on that. Is there any reason I shouldn't pursue that?
yeah.
Free website built by
Well,
them, or is there
here's the
some
hook.
catch to it? I'm not aware of.
Yeah, here's the hook. The hook is well, I don't I know who Fair Harbor is. I know the owners, and they actually promote our company because obviously if they have a book it, if they're in the business of putting a book it button, the biggest problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, is the biggest problem is getting people to click on the book it button. And in my video player, it as I just said, it says, "Hey, you're on a mobile phone." It sells out in advance. So click the book it button. Well, you got to have a book it button in place. So I know all the booking engines very well, and to answer your
Right.
question is that if their Peak was, I don't even want to talk about Peak because they were a bit of a joke and they're a newcomer, but Safe Harbor's
Yep, that's right.
a good company. But where the trend is going on this is that um, the book processing a booking on your website, it's only doing half the job. You need to be able to have your website talk to the Viators and the Expedias and the resellers because that's where you're starting to have issues of overselling and you got to transfer the bookings and everything. So I think Fair Harbor does talk to Viator, but there is a company out of Australia and they're one of the bigger players and they talk to 20 different resellers today and they have another 20 more that are being integrated. And why I like that is because I introduce you to the resellers and then you get a ticketing agreement. And then if you're using this booking engine, it automates the whole thing. So your calendar appears on Viator. And if you're sold out Thursday because a bunch of people came in on your website and bought all the seats, then it says
Yep.
sold out on Thursday and the customer then buys on Friday and everybody's making money rather than doing refunds.
Gotcha.
But right now, because we got a few things, we'll just leave it with Safe Harbor and see. This company in Australia does not answer the telephone. They just, and it's,
Right. And we've gone back to we've just hired more employees and we're taking our own calls now. But
oh,
like you,
so,
my that one of the issues before was we're not there after hours and we're not there early in the morning when a lot of people book their events. When they get home after dinner at the hotel and they're looking for something to do tomorrow, that's when they're
yep,
picking up the phone or early in the morning.
yep.
So, there's some improvement and I just don't know which way to go at this point.
Well, so Safe Harbor, to refresh me, they don't answer the call. They just provide a booking engine, right?
Fair Harbor, Fair Harbor.
Yeah, but they don't answer your phone.
No, no.
Okay, well
The one before Peak or whatever it was had a call center and they did.
yeah, well here's the deal is that um, did you ever you were you on Zerv at the very beginning? Do you know who Zerv is?
Oh no, actually, I wanted to go with they I had met them at a
Well, here's what happened. Let me fast track it. So
oh
Zerv,
good.
okay, Zerv is they're pretty good. I've got quite a few customers on it, and I call check them all the time, and they answer it with your name, and they have your
Yep,
phone number, and it's all good. But the
yep.
problem with them is they were charging a 10% commission. Okay.
That's why we didn't go with them.
Yeah, but let's
That's right.
look what happened. So then Peak comes along, and so now Zerv has dropped their price from 10% down to 3%, and they process the credit card fee out of it. So you're paying like 1% for them, and they're answering their telephone. Do you follow me?
Wow.
Yeah.
I had heard they had dropped their rates, but I didn't realize it was that extreme.
Yeah, now I think they may charge the customer $1 booking fee, but it's not very
So good.
large. Yeah, it's not very large. And the thing is with Peak, they're never going to talk to Viator and their competitors. Like they're really a reseller that got into the tour business, right? And
Gotcha.
and it's questionable once they burn through their funding of $3 million if they're going to sustain themselves. And whereas Zerv, they've been doing this for 8 years and they are pretty good at it. And at the price point they're charging now, a 3%, and
Right.
they're processing the credit card fee out of it, like certainly, like
Yeah.
I was even wondering about your business is that if I'm in San Francisco and I'm calling you, you know, it's 6 o'clock where I am, but it's 9 o'clock in Miami and there's nobody answering the phone.
You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah, and the fact the bulk of the United States is in a time zone that's behind.
That's right.
Yeah, and so
Absolutely.
let's just. I would say at this point in time that that even though Zerv doesn't talk to the different resellers, you don't have to have a whole bunch of people answering the phone, and those people can transfer the bookings from Viator manually. But clearly, to have someone on the end of the phone, because see, you don't have to understand why I like that so much. Let's go back to my click to call feature on the mobile video. I'm going to turn to you and say, what hours of operation do you want that click to call? Because I'm not flashing that click to call at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're not open, because that would just piss off the customer.
Right, right,
And,
right.
and and so if you say to me, I'm with Zerv and they're awake from 4 in the morning to midnight, then that click to call feature is going to be on way more, and then it's a perfect harmony. We're using the video to rouse the guy, to get him to click the call button, to talk to a live person who will then give that comfort level to get the booking, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, and so the point is the longer hours you're open, the more that click the call button's on, and that's going to obviously drive, sales and conversions. So, I'm going to make a note of that's the reason why we want to go with Zerv. It's because it's 3%. And listen,
Yep.
I know the guys over there. So let me call them up and say, "Look, I'm going to give you a referral on
Hey,
a,
I was totally even with the 10%. I saw the that was something Charles could never get past. But even at 10%, I saw that Zerv did a lot and did it well, and I thought it was always I always wanted to go back to him, and
mhm.
so any information you can send my way to help my cause, I mean, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, well, I'm going to basically say to Charles, look, I've got you guys are signed up for my program, and I can make your phone ring. How many hours a day do you want to do it? Do you want to do it 9 to 5, or do you want to sign up with Zerv and we'll do it 18 hours a day? You know what I mean?
Right,
And
exactly.
and another thing is, it's a non-binding contract. If we're not happy,
Right,
we can leave, right? But I mean,
that's right, that's right.
I can track how many calls the video does after hours, so we can go to Charles. Hey, we got 62 phone calls in the month that were happening past 9 to 5, and
Right.
and therefore it's not cost effective. It's to hire someone for all those hours. So you could, but you're going to make more money if you get Zerv to do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
And it's also
Yep.
it's less
I'm
hassle for you guys because the staff don't show up, and a low end job like that.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
Hey, hey, to be honest with you, they do a better job than myself.
I didn't want to say that, but I call it Observe, and those guys are pretty Johnny on the spot. You know what I mean?
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Matter
So
of fact, when we were with Peak or whoever it was, we called the call center one day while we were up there having our monthly meeting, and it was horrible.
yeah,
So bad that we called them and said, and then we called Zerv just on another business, and it was so damn good. It was like, holy crap, this is bad.
yeah, yeah.
So they did do a good job.
Yeah. Well, they've been doing it for 8 years and they've got it all polished. Peak's still trying to figure out what they are. Are they a reseller? Or are they getting in the tour business? Or, what's the flavor this month? And to tell you the truth, they had a bunch of money and they were buying a bunch of traffic. And now the tour companies, I don't even hear their name raised that much. So, but the question is, so are you being booked by Viator?
I don't think so.
Well, we got to get that deal done. I got the contact over there. So here's the
No, I remember you telling me that way back when, and that's just
I
something that never got done.
No, I think Karen, I gave her the name and I think she tried to follow up. But the point is, I've got this little to-do list that I got for your company. And what I'll do is I'll keep Karen sending that email base. But I got to tell you something. There is the bad side of Viator is that TripAdvisor bought Viator. Do you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, they bought them for $200 million. And what they did was, is TripAdvisor partnered with another company called Get Your Guide, and that's another heavyweight that you need to have a deal with. And what they did was, is they put a book it button on a couple listings, and naturally people clicked on it for, I don't know, people are stupid because it takes them off,
yeah,
to a reseller's
yeah,
website.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, it worked. And then via TripAdvisor said, well, this is a way we can finally make money off these tour companies because they're not making any money. We make all our money off hotels, and this is kind of a free ride. And it is because I know Stan over at Therapy Fishing there down at Miami Beach, and he's number 1 on TripAdvisor. And, he gets 40% of his phone calls from TripAdvisor.
Sure he does.
Yeah, yeah. And so what happened is so then TripAdvisor bought Viator for $200 million. They do $380 million in sales before they met TripAdvisor. Do you get my point?
Wow.
So the,
Yep.
okay, so now TripAdvisor is saying go sign up everybody who's on TripAdvisor. So the bad thing is by you signing an agreement with TripAdvisor that they're going to put a book it button on your listing, and a certain percentage of the traffic that comes to your TripAdvisor listing that you normally would get direct are going to be stupid and click the book it button and buy the ticket from Viator. And
Wow.
and so my experience tells me that if you're Stan and you're number one, you don't want to do a deal with Viator. But if you're
Right.
but if you're Thriller and you're further down that list, well, you got to understand Viator sold $380 million last year without TripAdvisor. And so they're moving a lot of tickets. Like, I'll give you an example. Greyline San Francisco, Viator sells $5 million worth of tickets for Greyline. So,
Wow.
so of all the resellers that I could introduce you to, that guy is the biggest heavyweight. And what you can always do is if they don't produce, then you can always cancel the contract. And but I don't think that's going to happen because they're ingrained in the web all over the place. They have like about
Right.
260 affiliates, and the point is it's a no-brainer because as I said, if you sign up and in 6 months they're not producing, we can always cancel the contract and then go back to pulling the traffic just off of TripAdvisor directly, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. But the point is we need to get Karen. I'm going to make a list of things to work through with Karen in the month, and I'll prioritize those. And one of those is I'll make her follow up on that. She's really good. Everything I ask her to do, I mean, she's fighting fires
Yeah,
down there.
and just do me a favor, and because I can help her out with some of this stuff. See anything you said there, CC me on it, so I
Okay.
can
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
track of what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, and then you could step in there and say, "Hey, Karen, I'll deal with this one," and then you can go
Yep.
off and deal with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
Yep.
Okay, okay. Well, so I will send the contact. I've got their direct email address of the person over at Viator for Miami, so I'm going to send that over to her again. And here's what has to happen. There's either two reasons they don't get back to you. Number one, they're busy. Well, here's what happened politically before the TripAdvisor bought Viator, Viator wouldn't sign up people because they wanted to drive a whole bunch of traffic to a few number of people like Island Queen and then bend Ryan over the table and get a big commission, and that's how they worked. But since they've been purchased by TripAdvisor, the mandate is they have to sign up every person that's on TripAdvisor. So it's a different deal. If you approach them in the past and they didn't react, it's different now. So they've been given their marching
Okay.
orders. Yeah. So the question is, it's either they have been swamped, obviously, but the point is in the presentation of the product, we got to get that video in there, and they got to see that you get the twice the route, the twice as you see twice as much.
Exactly.
Yeah, and believe me, the products in Miami, they don't have oversaturation like in San Francisco and Vegas and New York. They got like way too many tours to deal. You know what
I
I mean?
got you. Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, there's only a few of us in Miami, and in my
yeah.
opinion, ours
Like
is
I
just
swear to
so
God,
cool. So.
In New York, there's about 50 walking tours. you know,
Yep.
and Viator has a ticket agreement with all of them, so those guys are swamped. But in Miami, they should be eager because everybody's done the
Yeah.
city and boat tour, and everybody's done the
Yep.
airboat ride. So what's freaking
Yep.
next? You know what I mean?
I
So
mean, until a few years ago, they didn't even have those hop on, hop off buses. I mean, it's just recently, the last few years, they got those down there. It's hard to believe, really. But everybody's coming to town now.
yeah, yeah.
Miami is growing like crazy.
Yeah, well, that's good though. Well, I don't know if I told you, but Orlando had 60 million visitors, the most amount of visitors in any U.S. city in history, and
Wow.
San Francisco and New York broke records for tourism spends. So to say the economy is firing on all cylinders is an understatement, right?
Yep. No,
So,
that's for
so,
sure.
so
That's for sure.
I think out of this conversation, I think the highest ROI, the return is like, let's get the retargeting going for obvious reasons,
Let's do it.
but
Yep.
let's get that list for the DMCs because there's going to be a whole lot of, if the economy's good, companies are
Yep.
traveling more, and let's,
Yeah, you say that, and even when we were new in the business, we saw our DMC, charter into that drop right off after the economy went south, and now the last couple of years it's coming back hard, and this year crazy.
Oh,
So
oh,
you're exactly right.
oh no, you should have seen Papillon Helicopters is a client of mine, and they have their own airport at the South Rim with like they have more helicopters than the Canadian Navy, and they were all sitting there ground. And that's what the guy says to me. He says, "Paul, I can't really pay you this month because all my helicopters aren't flying." You know what I mean? But yeah, but the point is, hey, we weathered through the storm here, so now it's time to put some dollars
Yep,
in the bank, right? You know what I
for
mean?
sure, for sure.
Okay, George.
Absolutely.
Well, that's good. I'll get that video
Hey,
changed.
good talking to you.
Yeah. Hey, so just send me a reply back to that video approving the
I
hundred
will.
dollars, and then I'll
I
send that
sure
over to
will.
Ever, and then we'll start moving ahead on that. And as for the website, what I was going to say on the website is the question is the guy who's building you the website, nothing is free in life. And what I'm concerned about is that he's building a website and he's locking you in